Good morning from very warm Arizona. I've been sick for the last 4 or 5 days from reaction to the heat. And I feel like suspended between the mundane world and the world of the divine. I feel both of them. I feel the energies and the power of the divine world, as well as the life force within me. But I also feel the mundane world now tugging at me constantly to pay attention and to do things in it. We had to take little Eddie to the vet for constant sneezing that's been going on for about a year. He had to endoscopy and some scrapings taken from his nose to see what's going on there in terms of pathology. And just the fact of being out in the heat and traveling sort of wore us out, at least wore me out. I guess the rest of the country has been suffering from high heat too, as well as Europe. So I feel sorry for you. Enrique's here for the first time in a long time. He's been on sabbatical. Welcome back, Enrique. Michael's here and he looks happy. I don't know what the hell's happening there with the flowers behind him. Rolf has his usual smile of ecstasy. You know, San Sanim used to say, stop thinking, become dumb as a rock, know nothing. And he would give koans that everybody tried to solve by thinking. Like, I remember the one, his most famous one, the last one. And if you solve it, you considered to have Inca. The cat's bowl is broken, but the mouse eats the cat's food. Tell me, what the fuck can you do with that? Absolutely nothing. So people acted like picking up the bowl? No. Taking the mouse away from the cat? No. Licking food like a mouse would or the cat would? No. See, with that koan, Roshi is ambushing you and sucking you into a story. Now, if you go along with that story and try to lick the cat food or pick up the broken cat bowl or think of some clever answer, you've just fallen into his trap. He created a world for you and you accepted it on his terms. You said, there must be something deep buried in that riddle, in that koan. But there wasn't. What he's trying to teach you is to forget about the koans. Forget about the problems your mind creates. Forget about the problems everybody creates for you. A proper answer would have been, whew, it's hot today, isn't it? Or, can I bring you a glass of water? I know it's hot. In other words, you're telling Roshi, I know your story's full of shit, but you're not trapping me in my own head. I'm rejecting that story and dealing with you here and now in the present. And right now it's too fucking hot to fool around with these dumb stories, okay? So all the stories that Transcending created were to trap you, and you were to learn to escape one trap after another through certain techniques, like yelling "Katz," which means to shut up. But then he'd have other stories like you give an answer that's sort of advanced for a koan, and he'd say, "You know emptiness, but what else?" That truly, fully threw me and many others. Yeah, we know the great void, and that's what Zen talks about. And he says, yeah, what now? What now? What next? What next would be to not just tell Roshi his story is full of shit, and so is he, and offer him a glass of water, but it's to go one step further and challenge him. Make up your own story. See how he handles it. It's called Dharma combat. Now, I used to feel Kundalini energy strongly before I went into Zen with Sasaki Roshi. Because of the types of meditation you perform, you can open your third eye, you can start Kundalini processes, you can feel other energies in the body. But once I got there and started sitting his way of a very strong, balanced sitting in cross-legged, either half lotus or full lotus, all the Kundalini energy things went away. And I was just confronted with a vast emptiness, a vast silence, a stupendous silence. It wasn't like the silence of a mind that was not talking, but it was like encountering a hard vacuum of outer space where the suction makes it impossible for thoughts to form. And you're entirely thought free, but you're still very much aware of what's happening around you. Then in this state, all kinds of experiences can happen to you, becoming one with the universe or whatever. Watching consciousness come and go. Watching the wake states come and go. Watching the sleep state come and take you over so that you fall into sleep, watching it come and take you over. But this is just sort of the way of the mind, quieting the mind and self-observation. This is learning about the transcendental aspects of life. The witness, the ultimate witness, versus the manifest, which is ever flowing and changing. And they say, pay no mind to the world. Pay only attention to that which witnesses the world that is unchanging. So they trick you into saying, I don't want to have anything to do with the world. I will just have to do with myself. And you become sort of autistic, wrapped in your own world, plunging into your own depths of experience. And you can become happy this way. Robert's teachings were similar. He didn't emphasize meditation so much, but he had you develop the attitude, don't let anything touch you. Don't react to anything in the world. Just turn your attention into yourself and go deep in yourself. All your life, your attention has been directed outward into things, into the world. And he says, turn around, that's your only freedom. Otherwise, you're caught by the world. Just as Sansanim caught you with his koans. Spirituality, in any of its forms, is not about understanding. It's about experiencing and not worrying about what that experience means, what truths it's pointing out, or how close you are to enlightenment. It's just about being aware of what's happening, watching, not trying to figure it out, but just letting it happen. Learning to let life flow, just with a hands-off attitude. And the strange thing is you start learning so much, but it's not a learning you can articulate until much later. The sheer observation in silence, without trying to figure out what these states mean. Later on, you can remember where you were and what followed. It's amazing. While you're in the states and they're happening, you have no idea what's going on. And you may spend a lot of time trying to figure out what's going on, read books, and Baba said this, and Osho said this, and somebody else said this, and somebody else said this. But after a while, all that stuff means nothing. It's just more noise that you've been diverting yourself with all your life by thinking. You live in your mind. At least I lived in my mind. Even when I walked around taking walks, I had in my mind constructing something or making something. But when I started walking around listening to chanting on my little portable tape player, the thinking was taken over by the chanting. And I began feeling things rather than being wrapped up in my head. And all of you, I know, at some time or other during your day, are bothered by thoughts or something that has to be done, or one ought or another. You ought do this. You ought feed the cats. You ought pay your taxes. Robert's attitude was, he said he never opened the mail except if it was from some foreign student trying to communicate with him. Because his attitude was, if it's important, they'll come get you themselves. You don't have to read the mail about them coming to go come get you. You can just wait and they'll come get you. Then you'll deal with it. But if you do that, you'll deal with a lot fewer things than if you respond to every letter that comes into the house every day by reading it, acting on it, or even reading it and throwing it away. Today, we are joined by Karima for the first time in any of my satsangs in years. That's her pretending to not be recognizable next to me. So I have to be very careful what I say now. Otherwise, I'll hear about it for a long, long time.
You better be.
So spirituality is all about experience. When, for the first time, you start turning your attention inwards and going down into the levels of consciousness that constitute you, you can have all kinds of experiences. And that's mostly what I get in emails. People say things like, I've been meditating for 7 months now. And for the last 3 months, I feel like I've been descending in a tunnel into light. They'll even post that on Facebook and ask for advice. You get millions of different kinds of experiences when you first start meditating. because instead of paying attention to the external world, you're paying attention to yourself. And you find your own experiences very interesting. But when you try to understand what they mean, does this mean I'm getting close to enlightenment? Is this enlightenment? Is that enlightenment? Is emptiness enlightenment? What happens if I fall into the light? All these kinds of questions. The thing is, these experiences aren't important. They come, they go, or they last. They're neutral. They're not enlightenment. They're not awakening. They're not going to sleep. They're just experiences. And they're experiences you can go through, and you have to go through. But they don't mean much. They're just experiences. You can't even summarize them and say, I am emptiness, or I am the witness of emptiness. Those are just words. That's just a concept. And you'll be given some different concept a year from now when you'll have a different understanding of who you are or what you are. So the idea is to shut up and just go deep and have your experiences. Then one day, you'll have an enlightenment experience, like I had with Robert at his direction, so to speak. And they weren't much. They weren't much. I saw that all the world was unreal, that it was just created by mind. It's sort of a map that we have of what the world is like, that we habitually refer to in all of our experiences. It's a map, but the map is not the reality. And actually, we live in the reality. And if we can stop thinking and referring to that map, we see a different reality than the map provides, because the reality we see is very detailed, very rich, and constantly changing, unlike the map. The word chair never changes, even though it represents a billion different kinds of chairs. But we see a chair in front of us for the first time. It may be a wicker type chair or something else. And we can pass it by just labeling a chair and not pay any attention to it. Or we can pay attention to it and start seeing it and what it can really be used for. Things like that. The real world underneath the map is ever changing, constantly changing. And it is filled with energies, as are you. And when you become sensitive to the energies surround you and are in you and interact with the world. And the world is constantly flowing and changing. There's nothing that ever stays stable, like the map where the word chair remains stable. And when you start leaving the mundane world of the maps, the social map, the political correctness map, the world of physical objects, the world of work and of household and family, each one of which has its set patterns. When you start leaving that, you may feel lost at times. You may feel confused because you're setting out in a place where there's no maps and you're feeling your way. And it can feel very scary because you're in a new world and you don't know the rules of this new world. It can seem very frightening because you don't know what's going on in this new world. And you're able to be filled with fears of people that talk to you that say they know this world. But those periods of fear will go away if you persist. Get to the base of consciousness. Realize who you are in all the different ways. Emptiness, consciousness, awareness, oneness, all these. But these are just Advaita realizations. They're not power realizations. They're not energetic realizations. That's an entirely different way spiritually. It's the way of Tantra, the way of living alive fully and feeling the life force within oneself and the energies within oneself, and being able to master those energies within oneself and to show others how to master those energies and feel those energies. First, you learn how to perceive the energies. Then you learn how to master and use those energies to make the world a better place. You can use them to help yourself. A lot of saints and sages and yogis get diverted because of these energies and what they can do with them. They piss their life away working with siddhas just as a plaything rather than to go deeper so that you know God. But all of spirituality is experience. It is not about knowledge. You don't seek God with a preconception of what God is like. You seek God not knowing who or what God is or how to find him. And the strange thing is, just the seeking sort of begins to activate grace in you. So the right teachers show up, the right relationships show up, whatever. But when you become active instead of passive, when you can become an active seeker inside of yourself, you're stoking the flames of God realization inside of yourself. And then something will happen. One day, when you're least prepared for it, while you're sitting in bed or waking up in the morning, you feel the experience of God exploding in you. It's the most wonderful experience you've had up till now in life. It may be experienced as a giant light that's everywhere, the light of consciousness. And woven within that light of consciousness is extraordinary power. And woven within that extraordinary power is divine love. And when you can love another, a beloved, as much as you can possibly love another person, something happens. Because you notice in that other person their spirit. You're not paying attention anymore to their body or to their mind, their sense of humor, but the dancing spirit at the center of their being. And it becomes so, what could I say? It becomes so angelic, like it's so hard to explain in words. So rare, so fair, so light, this life force energy in your beloved, that you love that life force more than you love their personality, or get taken by their body, or get taken by their intelligence, or their sense of humor. It's the life force in them that you feel attracted to, that you feel one with. And when that happens, you're just 1 inch away from realizing the life force in yourself. First, as a separate being, as God, as the life force in the abstract, the life force in all of us, life force spread across the universe, of power, of light, of energy, which attracts love, and love attracts its. But it also has like its own individuality and power as it manifests in you. It loves you, and you feel its love. and you feel rest falling in the arms of your beloved divine. You realize God loves you as well as your beloved. God loves you. And you can feel the light of God inside of you as a form. Or perhaps you see him or her outside you, maybe sitting on a throne or standing with a staff, some sort of ritualistic vision of God. And you feel inside of you this sense of surrender, where you just want to surrender your whole life and being to that image of God. And you feel you're bowing down to him or her, touching their feet, and feeling the descent of grace, washing away every concern and every negative image you had about yourself until you become holy and clean. And you want to hold on to this surrender. You recognize this surrender is the path to God. It's not love per se. It's not knowledge. It's all about surrender. It's all about surrender. It's all about surrender. Not having your own way, but surrendering to the other, surrendering to God. Because when you surrender, you relax totally and you give up any search, any need to control, any need to go anywhere. And God takes you. And when God takes you, you feel filled with the most magnificent bliss of total surrender. Now, this is strange. I know that when I die, that will be the greatest moment of my life because I'll feel the absolute totalist surrender as my body goes. I will feel such relaxation that it becomes godlike in its depth and purity. I've already felt it a number of times, but this will be even deeper as I give up the body. Many of you cling to so many ideas about what you want and how you want it, especially when it comes to relationships. Right, Veselina? Right, Michael? Michael won't admit it. But just to surrender, just to relax. Relax. And when you totally relax, feel God entering you and penetrating you. And your mind spins because it can't think anymore. But you're twirling and whirling. You're way beyond utter confusion in the land of not knowing. And this land of not knowing is so brilliant because it doesn't have one mundane idea in it, ruining it. It's totally in existence now, not as an image or a thought, but you're totally alive with the life force and in this time now, without any idea, any direction, any wants, any desires. It's all about experience. It's not about knowledge. Don't keep checking your mind and your experience every day to wonder what's happening or where you're going or is this good or is this bad. Sansanim used to put it, just walk straight forward. Don't wobble. Don't keep checking your mind. Don't keep checking to see if you're making progress. Don't keep checking to see if you're doing the right or wrong thing. Just do it. Don't be paralyzed by thoughts of, am I going to do the wrong thing? Am I going to do the right thing? Just walk straight ahead. Make mistakes. Be bold. Don't check yourself. Constantly checking yourself. Are there any questions?
Oh yeah, it's Michael T.
Hi, Michael.
Well, so I guess I'd like to ask you a question: is the enlightenment actually the beginning, middle? Of course, these are only words, or the final stage, because I know there's a lots of experiential states of feeling the absolute, and there's supposedly self-realization, awakening, and enlightenment. So, can you kind of break that down? Is enlightenment actually the higher form of awakening, or is it somewhere on the pecking order somewhere else?
First of all, enlightenment has no usefulness at all as a term because everybody has a different idea of what enlightenment is. Everybody has a different idea. You ask 10 different teachers, 9 of them should, if they were smart, remain absolutely quiet, and you'll get a different answer from everyone that will talk. The same thing about awakening. The same thing about start of the journey or ending of the journey. So far as I know, there's no ending. There's no ultimate point. It keeps changing and changing, and as it changes, the world changes. You change. You can talk about milestones on the way of knowing emptiness or the void and seeing that everything dissolves in the void or that everything is one. And you can say you're awakened with that, or you could say you're awakened when you begin to feel the energies and you surrender to God. That's a form of enlightenment or awakening. But the thing is, everybody keeps experiencing more and more. Any guru worth his while is continuing to expand all his life. When asked how many Satori he had experienced, there were one Zen master, very famous one, lived to be 120, Joshu, said, I've had 17 great enlightenments, great Santori, and thousands of small ones. Where do you divide that into enlightened and non-enlightened, or halfway there or fully there? You're always fully there where you are, but there's always other people that are fully there and are completely different beings. So this whole way of thinking about what enlightenment is and who's enlightened and who's more enlightened than another, and is he at a level of 516 or at a level of 826, like Hawking? What Stephen Hawking had this chart about levels of consciousness. That is so much bullshit. You find a teacher that you resonate with, so to speak. Stay there as long as you can, as long as it feels comfortable. Learn what you can. And somewhere along in life, if you keep it up, you'll finally feel rest that you know what you need to know. And you can go about being a teacher or just stop doing it and go back to being a musician or a stamp collector or a diamond cutter or a railroad clerk. It doesn't matter anymore. You're at peace. So those kinds of questions just disturb your peace. It's a lot like the stories that Transcending would give you. The cat bowl is broken, and the mouse eats the cat's food. What to do? What to do? Oh, it's fucking hot in here. Do we have some water? In other words, the question diverts you from the here and now into speculation instead of getting into your own experience, wondering whether you're enlightened or not, or close to enlightenment, or what's enlightenment going to be when you feel it, if you ever feel it. Instead, just be in your experience. And if you be in your experience as much as possible, over the years, it changes. You're aware of much more subtle things. You're aware of many more energies. The world becomes more and more rich to you. It's like a blind person experiencing everything as feeling, and he becomes a master of the nuances of feeling. Everybody else is talking about hearing, seeing, everything else like that, but that person doesn't know how to feel like a blind person does. Now, a truly enlightened person, whatever that means, experiences the world in a very different way from the ordinary person that works for 40 hours a week, travels on the train twice a day, eats a boxed lunch, comes home to a family, 2 children, 3 dogs, and a parrot, and whose whole world is consumed by those 2 places, his place of business and his family. He never goes inside of himself. He never has time. But what a difference it makes when you begin to go inside of yourself instead of just being directed outwards towards your family and your job. You begin making discoveries inside of yourselves that are so electrifying, they change your life. But you ruin it if you start thinking, what does this mean? How enlightened am I? Where am I going? Just go. So don't ask about enlightenment. Just walk straight ahead, ever getting ever deeper, ever more powerful, feeling the energies, playing with the energies, playing with love, feeling love, being grounded into the world, and yet feeling the divine energy of love. I hope that confused you enough never to ask that question again. Anybody else? Stevie? I still haven't sent the memory stick, but I'll get around to it. I hate leaving the house. It's so hot out.
Wait till the fall if you want.
What?
You can wait till the fall if you want.
Okay. Angela, what's going on with you? You look like you're falling asleep.
No, I'm not falling asleep. I had too much to eat and feel a bit sick to my stomach. I'm just taken by your words and um, I'm just in love with the moment.
Is that all you got?
Ah! I knew this was not received well.
Is that all there is?
Yeah.
You know, George Foreman fought Muhammad Ali, and they had been battling for many rounds. And Foreman was known as the most powerful hitter around, and Ali was known as a escape artist. But Foreman was pounding the shit out of Muhammad Ali. And I think it was about the 8th round, Muhammad Ali said to Foreman, "Is that all you got? Is that all you got?" After Foreman had been pounding him for 8 rounds. And Foreman said, "At that time, I was thinking, yeah, that's all I got." He lost the fight. Vaselina, anything from you?
No, I don't know.
You're smart. Don't expose yourself, right?
No, I don't know. Today I woke up and at some point, I just started feeling good.
Are you looking for a new job yet?
No, but I was scared about it. Yeah, that I have to do it. I started to get really feeling like 1 year ago.
Good. Take care. Gunnar, how's your heart feeling? Still tight?
It's still tight, but I feel a softening. Thank you for asking. So it feels like I have the possibility. I've been breathing into it and like breaking up, reading like heartfelt things. So I feel there's something happening at least. So that's positive.
Describe how it feels right now.
Feels a little like a burning that at the same time feels nice. Like when bad in a good way. Like the tightening is not tight like armor, but like it's getting like made out of softer material.
How does it feel right this second?
Like a small space of tightening that very second that was localized right there.
Can you enter that ball?
Can I?
Enter that ball of tightening.
I don't think I can enter it. I don't connect with that.
Is the ball still there?
No.
What's there now?
A tightened sensation, more above.
Be nice to it.
All right.
It's trying to tell you something.
Okay.
And when you accept it, it'll say something to you.
Okay.
Not word, but as a truth.
Thank you.
Enrique, how are you? Long time no see.
Yes, long time. It's so nice to be here. Every Sunday that I'm not here, I'm always with you and with everyone. And things have gone very well. Enjoying life, enjoying adventures, spending lots of time with some very high level indigenous people from the northern part of Colombia. That's been a great adventure over the past 6 months, and it will continue to be.
You mean cartel people?
No. No. We're talking about these very high level, spiritually wise elders of the 3 indigenous groups that take care of the heart of the world all the way from here. So it's been a lot of fun. My relationship with my partner has been going great. The sex part has been taking us to very high levels of sex desire and sex energy and sex, energy going up. So very well.
Good seeing you.
Likewise.
Anybody else? Jay, can we get our own radio station?
I don't know why. I don't listen to the news, watch the news, or read a paper. I'm trying to go dumb as a rock and stop investing my mind in all of the machinations. What you said about walking straight ahead really sort of took away every question that I might have been thinking about. I was starting to think about, is there any way that we can tell if we're making progress along the way, but those are just words?
Exactly so.
I think you mentioned something about, I don't know if your shower awakening was a nirvikalpa samadhi. I think that you're writing something to the effect that that was one of the first stages of unity consciousness. Again, I think if you start to spend time looking for these things, it's the forest for the trees, you miss everything. The life force.
You got to look for your own experiences.
I feel the life force moving from Hara up into my heart. I feel Shakti deeper every satsang. I listen and pay attention.
Maxie, are you there? Can you speak? And Kevin, which Kevin do we have? The one that wants to hide. Michael, you have anything to say? The Jawa? Mark?
Yes, Ed. So I know I'm making great progress because I can feel it. And it seems that my teacher, my self, lets itself known by the amount of bliss and calm and spaciousness I feel. I know I've reiterated this thousands of times to you, but like right at this moment, I feel myself illuminated, coherent, and blissful at the same time. And it's like one point emanating out. So if the regular self is like reflections on the ocean, I feel like I'm at the root or in the gap. I feel like I'm at the right place right now, and I'll continue to abide there.
Good. Good. Very good. Stevie, you sure you have nothing to say? You write such beautiful emails, but when I talk to you in front of the people, you say,
Yeah, that's a problem of mine for sure. All I can think to say right now is I really have to pee.
Good for you. You should learn to pee before satsang.
I do. You know, I get so relaxed. It's just great.
Or wear those protective panties.
As soon as he says it, it makes everyone want to go.
Spencer, how are you?
I'm doing good. I like coming to satsang because I feel like your influence, you're like an enabler, I feel. Like, for example, like if you're around somebody who drinks a lot and you have a drinking problem, that other person can enable you. So I feel like you're an enabler because you give me permission just to
drink.
Yes, to drink or just to let everything go.
Good.
So, yeah, I like coming to satsang.
What kind of work are you doing now?
I'm not working right now, but
Good.
I'm gonna go back in the fall, so in the kitchen. So
Good,
so
not working, isn't it?
yes, I'm dreading going back to work, but nothing else I can do.
Yes, I know. Just keep it up.
Thank you.
Where's your cat, Jay? I want Karima to see your cat.
Jay, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me even if I'm off screen? You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, hold on. Come here, cutie. No, come here. Come here.
You should see this cat.
Come here, sweetie. Sorry.
Jay's cat Gypsy is like our cat Collie, but bigger. I mean,
oh, look how beautiful. Wow.
I had to chase her around the house, but
It's beautiful.
she's amenable to almost anything. So
Oh.
There's a very special bond. I've been celibate for 17 years, and I'm not sure it's elevated me to a higher plane, but there is this, I mean, I think partly from everything, Ed, since I've read everything as much as I could possibly read for so long, back to 2006, and your love for all your cats, and your abhakta, and your love and your gentleness. This little girl is a joy, and so she's a handful.
how heavy is she?
She's a little girl. She's about 6 pounds, 13 ounces, but she's all fur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just fuzz. But again, she's a joy, and I can't leave the house because I love her company, and I guess and there are many cat lovers in the Sangha, and animals requite a special joy. I think, as I said, the Brit Wei Wu Wei basically said that he thought that animals were purely enlightened because instead of having awareness of awareness, they are pure awareness, which means they have one less filter. And so what they do is pure spirit.
I agree.
And pure life force. So I take that and I take the joy, and I'm glad she let me grab her.
Oh, so wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I asked the question already, but sorry for asking. Well, it's the second one, but I was really interested in knowing when it comes to so-called human soulmates, and how do you know? I mean, with all the, let's say, with the increased perceptions, and you see Shakti around people, et cetera, you have good relationships. If you're not in a state of someone who's advanced and has the cultivation or awareness like yourself, how does a regular layman know when that, what's the signal? It's just more than seeing Shakti around that person. Is there a subtlety or a hint or some kind of understanding that that's a person that's has a special kinship or connection with you? It's sort of like a real tough.
Can you put that in like 2 sentences so I know what you're talking about rather than...
If you meet a so-called soulmate that's a human being, how do you really know it's that person?
If you think it is, it probably isn't.
That's not much of an edge.
Somebody once asked me, where do soulmates come from? And I said they came from hell. Because it usually doesn't work out. I don't know. Anyway.
Namaste, sir.
What?
Thank you so much. The satsang was really, really beneficial, and you have a really divine presence. Thank you for the offering. Just a little question. For the person who's realized, like in your state, do you have no thoughts? Like the mind is always thoughtless unless you want to think?
No, it's usually thinking, but I don't pay any attention to it. It can do whatever it wants. I pay no attention to it. I don't follow the thoughts. You see, one can stop the mind and learn how to do it just by cutting down thoughts as they arise. And I did that for a long period of time until I had an absolutely still mind. But my mind was thick like ice. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't flowing. And it was hard to catch anything, to be present with things. So I let it go. But over the years, I've realized that I don't give a shit about what the mind is saying. It doesn't matter. It can be talking, it can be doing this, it can be doing that, but it's like it doesn't touch me anymore. It's a very different thing than stilling the mind or having a quiet mind, because having a deliberately quiet mind requires a lot of effort, and the effort itself is going to taint any quietness that you obtain. The really quiet mind is when it can do whatever it wants and you pay it no attention. Does that answer?
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for your insight on that.
No, you're welcome. Well, look, I'll see you all on Wednesday, I hope. That's more of an energy session, although it wasn't this past time. And feel free to bring questions or your concerns or whatever you want to bring to satsang. But I hope you're here on Wednesday. I'd love to see you all. Bye-bye. As you notice, I'm not on the back porch because it's so damn hot back there today. So I'm in air conditioning where it's a neat 74 degrees. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Who wants to say goodbye to?